Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana basketball preview show. Tonight, we're going to be upcoming Indiana-Michigan game. As always, we are brought to you by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online sportsbook or casino that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Follow us at Grueling Truth. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. And check out our main place to bet on the Indiana-Michigan game this weekend, which is BetMGM. As always, I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, Mike, how you doing today? Are you guys getting some bad weather down there, huh?
No, it's just like 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's
Oh, is it? No, jeez.
It'll be 90 tomorrow and 30 the next day. It'll be fine.
We call those the Santa Ana winds out here, and we get them daily, so no big deal.
Okay. But you
hey,
don't
take your hat off. Let's see how bad the winds are. That's all I can tell.
What?
Blew all your hair away. Blew your rug away. Your toupee.
See, I hate to tell you this, but it doesn't bother me to be bald when I got you two ugly fuckers with hair. It makes me feel better about myself. Speaking of ugly fuckers with hair, let us welcome to the show from the Got Woodson Facebook page, Brian. Steve likes to call him Tim Moore. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're good, but you can't ask Steve because he'll give you a smart ass answer.
No, thanks for joining us, Brian. You got a great website. Anybody that,
Facebook page.
That our Facebook page.
Same thing.
I don't do social media.
He's 65 years old. He doesn't.
After every show, you say find Risley at srisley34. I don't ever go there.
Yeah,
you did today. You posted your ring today, buddy.
Well, that was because you were smarting off about something. I'll respond. I don't pick fights, but I'll finish them. So don't worry about that.
Sure, he will. All right. So, the Indiana Hoosiers.
Anyway, he has a great Facebook page called Got Woodson. It's one of the fastest growing websites I've ever joined.
That's a Facebook page.
It started growing after I joined.
That's right.
And he immediately named me an administrator,
a group expert,
which was a dumbass move on his
part. He named me one, which made sense. I didn't know why the hell he did you. Next thing you know, Chuck Franz will be on
I agree.
Of course, he made Tom Brew one too. So
I wouldn't name anything if I was me. So.
All right,
anyway, Brian, thanks for joining us. I love your insight. Your website, your Facebook page has great insight. And, people that follow us, go find, if you aren't already there, which gazillions of people are already on Got Woodson, go to it.
Thank you. It's a great, I'm very happy the way it's turned out.
You can speak your mind, although Brian will chastise you if you say anything negative about Woodson. I got so many bad Mike Woodson stories. It's unbelievable. But I won't post them on Got Woodson. So
it's because Woody kick your ass. All right, so let's go ahead and let's check out Sunday night. We've got senior night. We got a big time echo coming from you, Brian. Turn your phone.
I'm sorry.
You're all right. All right, we're good now. All right, senior night Sunday, 4:15. Senior afternoon, I guess. The Indiana Hoosiers will battle the Michigan Wolverines. This is a huge game, guys. This is for a double bye, possibly, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But also, Indiana's first game against Michigan. I mean, Michigan's got a lot of talent. I mean, if Juwan Howard wasn't their coach, they'd be dangerous. But you've got, if you look at the last game, all stats were damn near equal.
Even.
I mean, everything was even as you look down through here. There's hardly anything
Rebound,
to separate these teams.
Yeah, anything you look. I looked at it earlier today, too, Mike. And you're right. The stats. It was a dead even basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when we look at this game, I mean, the thing that scares me is this: you've got three guys that I think are going to play in the NBA on this team for Michigan. You've got Hunter Dickinson, who scored 16 points, had 7 rebounds last game. You've got Bufkin, the guard, who scored 14. And, of course, you've got dumbass's son, Jed Howard, who put up 12. So when we look at this game, matchup-wise, Steve, I mean, I think this is a tough game, and this is a game Indiana has to win. You can't go into the Big Ten tournament losing 2 straight. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, it's possible they could end up being the 9 seed in this tournament if everything went completely off the rails.
Yeah, you want me to go first, or you want Brian to go first?
And I said, Steve.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure I didn't want to step on anybody's toes because our good friend Joe Spillman's already given me shit on not letting other people talk. So, in honor of Joe Dumbass Spillman, I was just going to give Brian the opportunity to go first.
Go ahead, Steve. Just talk.
Okay. All right.
Just go ahead, Steve.
I think that, I think that this is a critical game for Indiana. And I think this, in terms of this game, what the stat sheet from the last game tells me is that Indiana, when I looked back on the season and everything like that, really, truly, I think Indiana maybe only played 1 or 2 teams that I thought were better than Indiana. Kansas being one of them. I thought Kansas was just a better ball club than Indiana. And I can't, and maybe Purdue to a degree, but we beat Purdue twice, so I'll wash that one out. Indiana's biggest opponent for the rest of the season is themselves. How well they play to their potential. When they play to their potential, they're as good as it gets in the Big Ten, and we'll have the opportunity to gain a double bye or a bye. I know we're going to get into that. If they don't play to their potential, like they did not against Iowa, I don't think Iowa was necessarily a better team than Indiana, even though they beat us twice. We just, both games, stunk up the gym. We just did not play well. And so I think it's critical here for Indiana Sunday to control their own destiny is to get out and understand they've got to come out and play to their potential as well as they possibly can. And we'll break it down. But that's my overall synopsis of that game and what they need to do to win that game.
Yeah, and Brian, my concern here is this. I think a lot of what happened to Iowa, Indiana just had something to do with Iowa basically put themselves in the tournament with that win. I think it was a bigger game for them. And now you've got the same thing. Michigan lost to Illinois 91-87 after having 3 straight solid wins. Right. They lost at Illinois. Michigan's now 17-13. They're firmly on that bubble, probably just a little bit on the outside of it right now. This Indiana game for them is their entire season. So that worries me a lot too when it comes down to this.
Oh, exactly. If they're going to come playing lights out, this is it for them. If they lose this game, a good chance they're not going to make the tournament, no matter how well they do in the Big Ten tournament.
Indiana's locked in the tournament.
Yeah, no, I'm talking Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. The thing that scares me about Michigan, which we've seen in other games, is they got some very fast guards that can shoot threes, and that always seems to get us in trouble. I'm not as worried about Dickinson as I am those guards because they're fast, and every time we go against fast guards, we get in trouble.
Yes, we do. Yes. And defending guards. And we got Balin from Scottsburg. Balin Gardner says, good evening, gentlemen. How you doing, Balin? Scottsburg, I believe, plays Silver Creek in the sectional semifinal tonight, too, down that way. But
good luck.
I haven't cared about the Indiana high school basketball tournament since like 1998 when they ruined it.
Is Dan Dockage a guest of honor at halftime?
Dan Dockage wouldn't be the guest of honor in his own damn house, probably. But what the hell? So good to have you, Balin. But when we look at the Indiana-Michigan game, this is twofold because, yeah, I think Indiana has issues guarding guards, especially quick guards.
Yes.
But my other concern is I worry about Dickinson because he's better than Trace Jackson Davis. I mean, just flat out, he's a better basketball player. I don't think he's as smart. I don't think he's as tough. But he's a really talented dude that can hit a three-pointer. He can play in the low post. And the thing about Dickinson that worries me with those guards, they didn't do it the last time. They basically wanted to play at a slow pace, and we allowed it. The thing that worries me is what do they do if they just pull Dickinson away from the basket and just let those guards just go to town on our guards, Steve? Because that's what I would do.
Well, all right. Well, and Mike, we may differ a little bit here, and Brian, certainly jump in and shut me up anytime you want to. But when I watched the Iowa game, what I just saw was a lack of effort. And Mike, we talked about this on our post game. Perimeter defense was non-existent. I don't think their guards scared me as much as our inability to perimeter defense scared me.
Well, I think
if we
slower
play
guards they can defend. It's the quick guards that they have trouble with, and they've got two extremely fast guards.
I think Indiana exchanges out up top very well. I mean, I watched that because a lot of teams weave us a little bit, and we run the weave a little bit up top too on a 3-out, 2-in type offense, and it's basically the premise of what we're doing. Everybody kind of runs that in college basketball right now, and we switch off real well. We just get lazy and we don't want to push it out far enough. Like I said against Iowa, all you needed to do to shut Iowa down with their massive 3-point shooting was push your perimeter defense out 10 feet. And I think if you do that, I think you slow their guard play. I don't know if you're going to take it away with any team, but you're going to slow it and disrupt it enough to possibly throw them off. Pulling Dickinson out to me is good because I think that's going to keep Trace Jackson out of foul trouble. The farther you pull him away from the basket, the less likely he is to try and block a shot and get called for a chintzy cheap foul or something like that. So I'm okay with pulling big guys out because I think that benefits our big guys a ton.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because when Dickinson can eat his lunch when he's under the basket.
Yeah, when he's under the basket, I mean, that's the same thing Edey could have done. And I thought they pulled Edey out. And I thought that played to our advantage against Purdue. I would
but Purdue doesn't have these kind of guards.
I would have parked Edey on the block. I'd park Dickinson on the block, and I'd get Jackson out of the game as fast as I could, or get Thompson guarding him. And I just don't think Race has the stamina right now to play enough time to keep, to protect Trace Jackson. But guard play is critical from here on out. It is a big weakness for Indiana. I think it's more because of semantics than it is lack of talent.
Well, I'll put it this way. And we have Robert, who I'll show his comment because this is my point to this. When they pulled Dickinson out in the first game, they didn't do it a lot. But when they did, they killed us big time with the back cuts with their guards. And that does worry me there. And Michael Houghton, who is from the IU Red Chair Facebook page, he runs that, said that Dickerson has a hot temper. And
it's actually better than Got Woodson, but I wouldn't say that publicly.
He's talking about the name. He's talking about the name, Brian. He's not.
I got a finger for you here, but it's not the right one.
And Michael also says Davis has had 4 days rest. And I know that me and Risley differed because I still don't think that tired thing means a damn thing.
Yeah,
but
I know.
If it does mean something, it means it in this game. And the reason I say that is yesterday, Illinois 91, Michigan 87 in double overtime. And you talked about Indiana being short on the bench. Hunter Dickinson played 45 minutes. Doug McDaniel played 47. Kobe Buffkin, I think he was on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. He played 44 minutes. Jet Howard played 44 minutes. They had 4 guys that played 44 minutes or more in this game, Brian. Brian.
All right. While Brian's reading and thinking,
I'm sorry.
In regard to Robert Stewart's comment, they burned us on the back cut when we tried. I believe at that point when they started back cutting us, our big guys were in foul trouble or with 2 fouls. And we I'm sure Trace gets word when you got 2 fouls in the first half. Don't try anything stupid.
Trace had 2 fouls for the entire game.
Back cutting anybody's easy, especially when you're setting screens. You expect your help to come up and stop the back cut and cut it off at the free throw line extended. That's what we would do, and not let the ball penetrate much past there. That's what your bigs got to do. Now, but when you got somebody like Trace who's got 2 fouls on him,
he didn't.
He didn't at that point.
He had 2 fouls for the entire game. The big difference in the Indiana-Michigan
But he had them early.
He
had about halfway through the first half, he had 2 fouls.
He got 1 in the first half. He got 1 in the second. But the thing I would say here is Race Thompson didn't play in this game either because that was a game where Trace had to play all 44 minutes. And I think Race Thompson gives Trace the help he needs, which I think helps out here. Let's see.
For a period of time right now. For a period of time.
Now, Balin says he's been cleaning trees up in his yard and fencing my livestock up. Your livestock got blown over? Was he out there counting? Been cutting up trees and rounding up cattle. It's been a hell of a.
Hey.
What do you live? He lives on the Yellowstone.
Hey, Mike. At least Balin has cows, unlike Joe Spillman, who's probably got sheep. And we all know what men do with sheep. So.
Oh boy!
Not do
Only in Purdue.
With sheep. I don't know what you would do, Steve.
Only in Purdue and Vevey, Indiana.
You know what? I pretty much Fran McCafferty would go to town with a bunch of sheep. Michael says we were grabbing at straws when we were behind. Let's see. Joe Spillman hadn't said anything lately. I think he's supposed to be calling a sectional game tonight on the radio.
Who?
Big Joe. Well, his team lost, though, so it may not be. But real quick, I want to remind everybody, betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. All right. So I think this. I think we'll all agree Indiana's going to win, correct? I mean, I do worry about the game, but I think Race being there with Trace, you got 4 or 5 days off. Michigan's coming in off a double overtime game in Illinois. I still think it'll be a close game. I don't think it's a blowout. And let me ask you this, Steve. Your senior night in 1981, why are you laughing at that, Brian?
I would just had a joke about Steve, but I wasn't going to say it, so that's all right.
Tell us in a little bit when it gets boring. But no, 1981, your senior night. How big of a deal was that to the team? If you're a senior, is that a big deal or just something that's just there and you have to do
No,
it?
most of us haven't done a lot of public speaking in front of 17 or 18,000 people at that point in time. So it was kind of nerve-wracking a little bit, and I didn't really want to do it. And it's not a big deal. It's like, let's get this over with and get the hell out of here. So I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal either. But the big question, what's the over-under on Sunday? There's no over-under. That line will probably be out about the middle to evening tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, let me address one thing you said. Do we all think that Indiana's going to win the game? As a fan, yeah. As somebody who would, I don't want to say I'm an analyst, but as somebody who follows the game and understands a lot what's going on, it's going to boil down to which Indiana team shows up. And that's not rocket surgery. But right now, I'm seeing 2 different Indiana teams showing up to games. I'm seeing the team that played Purdue, and I'm seeing the team that played Iowa. And those are 2 completely.
And you also see the team that played Michigan State. So 2 of the last 3 games have been complete utter embarrassments. And so I say, yes, I think Indiana's going to win this game. But in my heart, I'm thinking, oh, man, I thought Michigan State would be tough, but a win. I thought they'd lose to Purdue, but they will beat Purdue. I thought they'd handle Iowa easily. And they got drilled. And now we're coming to a team that's back is against the wall, as you guys have both said. That's a good team. Not well coached, but a very talented basketball team that will play you hard. Michigan will come out and get after it. And if Indiana chooses not to get after it, they're looking at a 9 seed in the Big Ten tournament and playing a full slate. Probably not a 9 seed, but if they lose, they're going to be somewhere around 5-6.
They're not going to have a 2-game bye.
No, they will not have a double bye. His heart says they'll win, but head says due to the inconsistencies, they'll lose. Yes,
they have a chance to lose.
Well, Steve, you're usually wrong. Bet the opposite of whatever Steve says.
I agree with you 100%. That's why I don't bet. That's why I don't get on betting shows. That's why, and I'm far too materialistic to gamble. I'm smart enough to know that somebody's paying for the lights in Las Vegas, and it isn't the hotels. It's the idiots that come into those hotels and spend their money.
So the other big thing is this. You got Xavier Johnson. Will he play Sunday or not? Anybody got any idea there? Because it's senior night. I would say if he doesn't play Sunday, it would really make me think he's probably not playing in the Big Ten tournament either, Brian.
I think, excuse me, Woody is good about hiding his hand. And if you remember when Race came back, nobody really knew till that day. he was game to day, every game, and then all of a sudden, boom, race is starting. Now, granted, it's a different injury, but I wouldn't put it past Woody. He's not going to give Jerron any information that's give him a chance to prepare for Xavier. Do I think he starts? No. Do I think he might play 5-7 minutes? I hope so, because I think we need another guard out there. And he's still, in my opinion, the best point guard we've got.
He's the only point guard we've got. Jalen Hood-Schifino is not a point guard.
Right, he's a shooting guard.
Yeah, you can't be a point guard when you're looking for your own shot more often than not. Michael Houghton says he will play if down 12 or more. He says we need more bench. Balin Wooden says he wouldn't know anything till practicing game day on Xavier's status. I mean, they definitely need Xavier, Steve, because they definitely need guards. And, I mean, even if it's to just play 10 minutes, because after a couple of weeks, maybe you get to the NCAA tournament, maybe you can play more than that. Maybe that puts more pressure on Hood-Schifino to be the point guard because he doesn't want to lose playing time then possibly.
Yeah, Mike's a no-nonsense guy. If Johnson's ready to play, he'll get some minutes. I don't know if they'll get a lot of significant minutes, but I don't know how ready he is to play. Only people that know that are Mike and Garl and the medical team there and the coaching staff. So I think that if he's ready, Mike will put him in and play him. But I think it'd be foolish, and I know Mike would think the same thing, it'd be foolish to play him if he's not ready just because it's senior night. Yeah. That would be a dumbass mistake. And I don't think Mike makes dumbass mistakes. He's not built that way. So we won't know until game time. I agree with Mike.
There's a lot of Mikes there. All right, Indiana's Big Ten tournament outlook. All right, so everybody wanted a double bye. It looked like that was possibly dead. Then some things happened. So the double bye scenario is really simple. Indiana must beat Michigan in any of Maryland, Iowa, or Northwestern. If any of those three teams lose, Indiana would get a double bye. Now, Maryland has to go to Penn State. Penn State's still playing for the tournament lives. That's a tough game for Maryland. Nebraska's at Iowa. Nebraska, as crazy as it sounds, over the last month has turned into a really good basketball team. They've won some games that nobody thought they would win. And Northwestern has to go to Rutgers, which is a hard place to win. Right. So I think this is more likely than not, Steve and Brian. If Indiana wins this game, they're going to get the double bye.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Mike. Yeah, I would agree with your scenario whatsoever. I think one of those three teams will lose. Which one? Don't know, but I think Indiana will be sitting in the double bye position come the end of the weekend.
I believe this, Steve. I believe that at least 2 of the 3 will lose. Nebraska, Iowa is the only one I'm worried about. But where this gets even more interesting.
I'll take one of them losing.
But I want a couple because the dream scenario is they're in the number 2 seed. That must include an IU win and all of Maryland, Iowa, and Northwestern losing. Yeah, the good thing, Maryland and Northwestern are both on the road. Iowa, Nebraska is a rivalry game down there. And like I said, Nebraska has played well as of late.
Yeah, well, CBS wants that too because they want a rematch of the IU Purdue game one more time. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I think Nebraska can take it to Iowa, but I really think the Northwestern's going to lose. I in my heart, I believe that. I predict when I looked at the schedule, 2 weeks ago, I thought they might lose 3 out of 4 of the last 4 games. But right now they've lost all 3 of them, and this one could be their 4th in a row. Maryland, we all know that they're fantastic at home, but they're just average at best on the road. So I really see Maryland and Northwestern falling this weekend. So now it's up to Indiana to do their thing. And
well, how about this, Brian? I mean, when you look at Nebraska, the last 7 games, they're 5-2. This is the team that went to Rutgers and blew Rutgers out by double digits. They hosted Maryland. They beat Maryland, who was ranked 21st at the time. They beat Minnesota. Everybody beats Minnesota. Their last game, they did lose to Michigan State, 80-67 at home. But it just gives me hope because I see they did beat Rutgers. And I think Rutgers, even though they lost to Iowa twice, I still think Rutgers is a much tougher place to play.
Well, you don't forget you've still got Crazy Fran at home, so he'll probably do some antics like he always does. Try and break the
Then I could write an article about it, and 100,000 people will read it. All right, so how about this? Let's see. Is there anything else we want to discuss about the Big Ten tournament? Now, I can also tell you this: if all three of those teams win and Indiana wins, the Hoosiers are the 5 seed. So that's what you've got. And the 5 seed is not a double bye. Now, the worst case scenario is you're the number 9 seed. That includes IU losing to Michigan and wins by Rutgers, Michigan State, and Illinois. So
I'm going to ask Riz a question on that because I've heard both sides of this. Some people say, hey, let's get a double bye and some rest. Other people say, hey, maybe we can play an extra round and we don't rest quite as long. I mean, you played, Steve. When you have a long time off, does that benefit you sometimes or does it hurt you? Because I think if you're off too long, you know as well as I do, practice is not playing. Is that the same as playing the game? Would you rather have a shorter, like 3 days off, or do you want 4 or 5 days off?
At this point in the season, give me the time off. You give me, early in the season, I want to play. Right now, I'm nursing injuries that we don't even know about. I'm nursing bruises from practice or whatever. Anytime I can get off, and that's one less opportunity to lose a game. So I'll take all the time off I can get right now.
all right,
And
if you're watching, I
think Woodson would welcome that too. That might be an extra day or two to get Johnson ready to go, to where he gives us some viable minutes. If another day or two. So yeah, I'll take the time off this time of year.
Yeah, and I would still rather not win the Big Ten tournament just because of the numbers on teams to win their conference tournament and how they usually don't get past the second round. So, and we saw last year what happened when we go on the run. Then we had to play the first 4 in Dayton. Then you had to go all the way to the West Coast. I think it was Portland to play.
Yeah.
Gunner's boss up to there, or let's see, Mike and Steve. As always, Gunner, great to see you. He is from the biggest sports talk show in Jamaica, man. And at this time of the season, it is better to get it over with. Time out after it's over. So I agree. And then Michael, in them comments we put there, Michael's got a little wavy face on there. I can't get his wave on there, Steve. What happened?
I don't know.
Oh. Right, and we're going to bring up this also. We're going to bring up the Lady Hoosiers. Did anybody watch the Lady Hoosiers today?
No, I was working. Sorry.
Why are you working? I figured as old as you guys look, you'd both be retired and watch the Lady Hoosiers.
I followed it, but I wasn't watching it live.
Yeah, the Indiana Hoosiers women's team won 94-85. I think that advances them to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. They beat Michigan State, the 9 seed, 94-85. That's a big win because Michigan State upset them. I think it was in early January, one of IU's 2 losses. And IU will move on to play in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament tomorrow, Steve.
What was your question? I was reading the comments from Kim. And
so you're going to go ahead and disrespect the Indiana Hoosiers women's team.
No. I was reading the comments all day. I mean, I was trying to think why Brian doesn't dedicate a day to the women's Hoosiers on Got Woodson.
They talk about them on there, I think.
We would like to have a representative or a player from the women's team on this show instead of Brian.
All right, Joe says, hell yes.
I can think of so many.
Michael watches the ladies. Better. Hold on, let's get everybody's comments. Yes, so they played enough to win.
Yeah. Everybody's talking Lady Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers. They are very well coached and players are fundamentally sound. That's why they win. That's why anybody wins, if you know what I mean, Kim. And let's get Stiv. Who the hell is Stiv? Huh. I don't know who Stiv is. Do you, Steve?
No, they're my favorite NASCAR driver apparently was injured in a snowboarding accident and may not participate in the race this weekend.
Who
So
cares?
that's
Let's
a
talk about
sidebar right
sports.
now. I'm talking basketball
Yeah, we're
right now,
talking
not
sports.
auto racing. You know.
All right, Gunner
we'll get to
says
that.
Caitlin Clark is the best college basketball player on the planet in current form, male or female. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Gunner. So do you think that she's better than Luka Doncic? I mean, come on, get your head out of your ass, Gunner. And Kim says, Mike, I know fundamentals. I know this, Kim. Kim at South Dearborn went to the Elite Eight in 1983, which as far as either one of us ever went, Risley, because you got beaten Sweet 16 by Aurora.
No, I got beaten in a semi-state by Aurora.
I know. So you didn't make it to the Elite Eight like Kim did.
Yeah. No, we yeah.
And then Kim went to the Sweet 16 the next year, but that didn't turn out too well. We won't talk about that.
Mike, I don't measure myself. The only way I measure.
Why do you always bring up your ring, and why do you always send us pictures of your ring then, Steve? Brian, am I wrong here?
Because I just think as a public service, there's other people that would like to see it, what one looks like. That's all. And I generally don't, unless somebody's being a dumbass or a smartass about it, and then I just shove it in your face. So don't worry about it. Only way I really measure myself is by height. And I'm 6'8". So, as far as I'm concerned, it stops right there.
See, without you, Riz, they wouldn't have won in 81. You know that, right?
You what?
They wouldn't have.
They what?
If it wasn't for you, IU wouldn't have won in 81 without you.
If it
wasn't for any player on our team, Indiana wouldn't have won.
Even Chuck Franz.
Even Chuck Franz and everybody that Mike LaFave, everybody contributed to that team winning a national championship. I'll take that to my grave.
If you're in practice, anybody on your team.
Guys, the white team busted our ass to get the red team ready to start the game for us. And then, fortunately for Jimmy Thomas and I, we got significant minutes in the championship game and throughout the tournament and got to make major contributions. That was our dumb luck.
Well, I wish we had a Jimmy Thomas on our team right now.
Yeah. But the guys that didn't play significant minutes in the tournament played significant minutes in practice and got everybody else ready to go. And I'll take that. And Brian, in all seriousness, I will say that every time you ask me that question, and I will take that to my grave about the guys that I got to play with, had the privilege of playing with.
So
I feel that way about the 75 team, the 76 team, and the 87 team, all the teams that won championships. It takes 12 men to do that.
Hey, wait a second. Gunner said Gunner says he said specifically in college. I got to go back and find Gunner's thing because he said in basketball. Yeah, he did say college. I apologize, but yeah, there's 500 players better than her in men's college basketball because I don't think she's going to play in the NBA. If she's the best basketball player, wouldn't she be drafted first in the NBA after all the Europeans go? All right. Mike LaFave and I played against each other in CYO too, Steve.
Mike played at Cecina High School, which is a Catholic school on the east side of Indianapolis.
Is that how you say that? I always thought it was Seneca.
Cecina. And
it
was a Catholic high school. And I'm sure Mike would have grown up playing in the CYO leagues, which were Catholic youth organization. For those that don't know what CYO stands for. And it was a lot like AAU in its day. And Mike was very classic. Unfortunately, he passed away from a heart attack a few years ago. And we lost Mike at that point in time. But great kid, great teammate, funny guy, and, worked his ass off every day.
Because the 81 Hoosiers were the best Hoosier team ever.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Mike did. I was jarring with him earlier.
Yeah, because he kept trying to tell me Quinn Buckner was too strong for Isaiah Thomas.
I think that any team that wins a national championship has done well for themselves.
Touche.
Yeah, I didn't figure you wanted to get into the Quinn Buckner Isaiah Thomas debate there.
I'll get into it if you want to get into it.
There's no debate.
I will say this about that. If I had two teams sitting there and one had Quinn Buckner and one had Isaiah Thomas, I would play on Isaiah's team. That's all I say.
Yeah, because you're going to win.
Don't think I did either one. I just said I never had the privilege of playing in a game with Quinn. I've known Quinn. I had the privilege of playing with Isaiah. I know Isaiah. We lose Mike.
No.
Yeah. No.
Mike's picture got foggy, so Mike had to jump off and jump back on.
But if I had a choice to play on a team with both those guys, I would 100% of the time choose to play with Isaiah. And I'm sure there's guys that would say just the opposite. So
I bet the only guys that would say the opposite played in 75 and 76.
probably.
And Michael, I feel your pain with the rain all day. But it's better than South Bend where they were getting like an inch of snow an hour a few hours ago. And I assume you get the 75-mile-an-hour winds we got. So, all right. Anything else we want to discuss before we wrap it up, Steve?
All right. I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
In the tournament, because we didn't really say much about it, but the Big Ten tournament, who would you really want to face, and who would you really rather not face?
I wouldn't want to face Purdue.
Yeah, I don't want to play Purdue again.
We done beat them twice. There's no reason to play them again.
I do not want to face Purdue again.
I don't want to face Rutgers. They seem to have our number.
Yeah,
we
they
beat
do.
them last time
I'd
we
love
played
to play Michigan. I'd love to play Iowa again.
Yeah.
I want that game because they embarrassed us twice.
I want Northwestern because they beat us twice and that never should have happened.
Yeah, but Northwestern's classy about it, and I like their coach.
Oh, yeah. Fran McCafferty's a douchebag.
Well,
Well, yes. That's something nice. That's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said about the man, to tell you the truth.
I'm not going to get into coaches and name calling of coaches. I think
And Juwan Howard is still a dumbass. I don't care what you say.
Okay. Well, we leave those comments to you. That's your forte, Mike, is to you're a coach. Yeah. You have the right to make those comments. You're a coach in your own right. So
Kansas.
you know what good
Kim, I
is.
think that Brian meant Big Ten tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I say otherwise? I apologize.
No. You said
you were fine. She just misunderstood you. She just heard tournament. I think. So, no big deal.
Yeah, I don't want to play Purdue again. Anybody else? Rutgers scares me like they do you, Brian, just because they seem to have our number for some dumb reason.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. What have we lost? 9 in a row to them, or something like that, or 10 in a row?
To who?
Rutgers.
Rutgers.
We beat them the last time we played them. I don't know what you guys.
At home. Yeah, we beat them at home.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Before
be at home in this game.
9 games. So,
I mean, it's going to be in Chicago.
But Brian, I've said all along that my dream tournament, the big dance, is IU Purdue in the national championship game every year.
No, Indiana, Kentucky.
I'd rather beat Purdue.
I'd rather beat Kentucky. They're disgusting.
Nah, Kentucky's nothing right now. They're
but they think they are, and all their fans are.
That's all right. I think it'd be more fun for a state rivalry if every year in the dance it was Indiana Purdue.
Here's Gunner. Gunner says, did Alabama's men's basketball program drop the ball into tragedy by not sitting their star player, Brandon Miller, who is better than who you were talking about earlier too, Gunner? I will say this. I mean, the guy's not been proven guilty. My issue is when he comes out into player introductions.
Yeah, that was bad.
They pat him down. That right there should have made it so he never plays college basketball.
That's on the. You know what, Mike? To me, that's on the coach too.
That's what I mean. That's Alabama as the coach.
The coach, if that's the environment he allows to perpetuate itself in his locker room, then shame on him. That kid should have been sat and talked about and suspended. But in Alabama, I think we all know winning is more important than integrity at Alabama across the board. I mean, you certainly get that impression.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kim makes a comment that he needs to be taught right and wrong now before he gets any older. That comment was probably better said about that kid probably when he was 5 years old.
5 years old, not now.
Yeah.
It's over and done with.
It's over now.
It's over. But his mentality is set in his brain. He's never going to change.
All right, make sure you check out Michael's IU Red Chair group, and he asked you to join him. He didn't even ask me.
Yeah. Ask me either.
Anytime you want me, Mike, just hit me on social media.
I don't think the guy. Yeah, if you can explain it to him, it'll be dead
I don't know
on.
what button to push.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, we tell him it's a Facebook group. He could end up on Twitter, Instagram. God knows what it's going to be.
No,
So.
I went to Pornhub one time and my wife found out about it. Jesus Christ. So much for Pornhub. She blocked that off my computer.
And Michael, I know I was just teasing you, but why were you on Pornhub?
I was too.
You shouldn't be on Pornhub.
I wasn't, as far as you know.
I'll call T and I'll ask her. I'm sure it's probably true.
What are you looking at? Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And Robert says, Got Woodson. Make sure you go check out Brian Moore's group, Got Woodson. Y'all need like a Twitter page, too.
Yeah, you do need a Twitter page.
Yeah, I probably will. Huh?
Call it Got. Just use the same thing. Call it Got Woodson.
Got Woodson.
Twitter page.
Yeah.
What is this? Gunner says, talking about Rutgers University, Dan Imus was wrong. Do you mean Don Imus?
Don Imus?
I remember Don Imus. He was that old Skeletor-looking white dude with the messed up
Passed away
hair.
a few years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, he was in New York. Yeah.
I remember there was something going on
Or
with
cowboy
him
hat.
and Rutgers, but I don't remember what it was. I'm looking it up real quick.
No.
Okay. On April 4th, 2007, syndicated talk radio show host Don Imus ignites a firestorm after making racially disparaging remarks about the Rutgers University women's basketball team, assaulting their for appearance and tattoos. Don Imus was a dumbass anyways. He probably, you know what? I bet he's Fran McCafferty's dad.
Oh, God. Brian, I'm sorry. I can't control Mike. He has all the buttons. So,
Kim says the Xavier going to be back.
I would zap him from the rest of the show right now, and you and I would go on and talk IU basketball.
I'm untouchable. Well,
we can't go for 4 hours, Steve, like we did last time.
He's like the idiot that controls everything. He's like Joe Biden. You know, he has no freaking idea what he's doing. I know where I'm
at. You're more like Joe Biden. You're the old broken down dumbass. Got beat in the state tournament by a bunch of 5'5" midgets from Aurora. It was.
Ooh.
They did. They beat us.
I like it. Tim Johnson from the corner.
Yeah.
You lose.
Hey, what did you think about that Iowa player throwing kisses at the stands the other night? Does that show him McCaffrey doesn't have control over his players either?
Yeah. And let's face it, with the NILs and everything else that goes on in this world nowadays, most parents don't have control over their kids, which makes it really hard for a coach to have control.
Let me say this in defense of the player in that situation, a little different than what happened.
What was being yelled at him, by the way, Brian?
Yeah, that was my point.
That's what I like to know.
That was my point, was that you guys don't understand the shit that comes back at you when you go to Rupp Arena, when you go to
understand.
Brian, Mike does. And Brian, I don't know how much involvement you have of being on a court somewhere and in a huge rivalry. I mean, we go to Purdue, and I every day I came home from Mackey Arena, I would take my girlfriend out to dinner on Purdue because of all the pennies that were thrown at me when I was on the court. I would pick them up, and I would have enough money to go to Big Wheel and buy her, a cheeseburger and fries.
Steve,
and so anywhere you go, Notre Dame was awful. We went up to the ACC up there, the Athletic and Convocation Center. You want to talk about dumbass, mean fans. Kentucky had nothing on Notre Dame. I'll tell you that.
Except Minnesota was
awful. Those damn hockey pucks up there. Everybody at Minnesota has been hit in the head by 10 hockey pucks. I guarantee you. I flat out guarantee you. So
the difference is this.
To blow a kiss to somebody at the end of a game, I can live with that. That's just somebody who just had enough of the shit thrown at him.
Joseph Michael says he throws pennies at strip clubs. Sometimes he hits a hole in one, too.
That must be why you're on
that.
My God. No wonder that NASCAR shows flying, all over the place. You got you at Pornhub.
Does anybody seen the Good Feet commercial?
The what?
The Good Feet commercial. You all know the store Good Feet. They make the insoles for your shoes.
No, I don't have the problem. So
Well, no, it's national.
Okay.
It's a national chain. Good Feet stores are a national chain. It's all Virginia players doing their national commercials. It's Virginia women and Virginia men in their Virginia basketball uniforms. So I told my wife watching it last night, it was on a local news in LA. I thought, well, wouldn't you think they'd be using UCLA or USC players? But I guarantee you the owner of Good Feet Stores is probably a graduate of University of Virginia, and that's how they're funneling big money to these players through the NIL program.
So not funneling it, it's legal.
It's legal. Yeah, it's legal, but they're funneling money to them. I mean, I'm sure these kids are getting paid $100,000 or something astronomical to do these Good Feet commercials. And they're showing Virginia player Good Feet commercials in LA. Like, who the hell gives a care about the Cavaliers in LA?
Well, everybody wants to have good feet.
Of course, you really shouldn't give a shit about USC or UCLA either.
Yeah, UCLA is ranked 4th. Hold on, we got another comment from Gunner. Kirby Smart should make it a rule that anyone who got caught or seen racing will be kicked off the team, period. I think that's for the football show.
Let's don't go there, all right? People died.
That's all news.
Let's don't go there.
Yeah.
I'm not going there on that. Somebody, 2 kids passed away on that, and I'm not going there at all.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely obvious that college coaches have no control.
No,
and
they don't.
From what I've seen coaching high school football the last 7 or 8 years, most high school coaches don't either. The way people act today is, I mean, there used to be stuff like that time to time when I was growing up, but you could almost bank on it. At least once during a game, some band's going to scream something they shouldn't, or some kid's going to do something he shouldn't. And the coaches don't do anything about it. The parents don't do anything about it. Basically, our entire society is nothing but a shit show anymore. And, and all you've got is, I mean, come on. You know our country has gone to hell when our choices for president were Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton. I mean, those are 3 disgusting people. If you want disgusting people to run your country, you get a disgusting country. There, I said it, and that's good.
Kim's got it right. Wouldn't it be fun to see Bobby Knight? He wouldn't survive.
He'd already been fired. He'd been fired right after they hired him.
I'm going to tell you what, Kim, right now, college athletics needs Bob Knight more than they ever needed him in the 70s and 80s. They need him now, but he would never survive. It doesn't matter.
What they would need is a Bob Knight who thought, had a little bit less of an ego, maybe wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, you're right. You take some of the ego out of Knight at that point in time. But the mentality of what he used to ready players for life and to coach players, I tell people daily, whenever they ask me about playing for Bobby Knight, and I tell them this is my answer. If I had one wish, it would be to go back right now and play for Knight again for 4 years, knowing then what I know now. How much more I would learn from Bob Knight.
Isn't that kind of the same thing that people talk about their parents, though? Damn, I wish I listened to my mom 30 years ago.
You're right.
I mean, hell, it's the same thing.
I grew up never seeing my father after I was 8 years old.
Now, see, this is the thing I don't get. I don't know what the big deal about going to class is, Kim. I mean, this is a $1 billion TV contract, $1 million coaches. Well, and let's face it, if you're not going to play college basketball, football, and go to college for free, you're better off going to a trade school.
Mike, I've said all along, it just come to a point in time with the amount of money being made now, I think you should just make college basketball or college athletes employees of the university, give them a W-2, and pay them to play.
The NCAA doesn't want the money coming out of their own pocket. That's why they let the NIL crap happen, because they didn't want to stand up and do the right thing.
I mean, if I had $1 for every email I've gotten from the university about supporting the IU NIL program, I mean, they want me to donate money, and I get it from IU people. Hey, make a donation to the IU NIL program. So I don't know where that money's, who's controlling that money. I thought NIL was supposed to be the player going and negotiating a contract with an outside vendor to benefit on name, image, and likeness. I did not realize the universities were going to control this and run the NIL programs for players. I don't know that it is that, because I'm not involved in the NIL in any way, shape, or form. But I think the benefit would be if you're going to do a true NIL program, just say, yeah, you're free to go do it. You go contract on your own with Good Feet or with Bob's Chevrolet dealership or with Wheaties. You go make those on your own. Learn business at QM because less than 1% of all college athletes ever get paid to play professional sports. And so let's let these kids use the NIL program to learn business at QM. But it didn't stop turning out that way. It's just now somehow funneling money to these athletes.
Yeah, but hey, it's better than the athletes.
Process.
It's better than the athletes not getting paid. That's all I got to say. It's better than the athletes not getting paid when they're bringing in billions of dollars and not giving a damn thing.
I have no, and
I know you are.
My wife told me last night we were talking about the Good Feet commercial, and like, yeah, I guarantee you the crappiest player on IU's basketball team is probably making $25,000 a year now. I'm sure they're funneling some money to him.
Well, yeah, they're getting money. They're
getting money. Yeah.
I don't have an issue.
Okay, I was the 7th or 8th or 9th player on my team, 6th, 5th, depending on how much in the doghouse I spent or who we were playing. I'd be making some decent money. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be getting Isaiah Thomas money, obviously, but I mean,
look at this Robert question. Look at Robert's question. Riz, if IU is in the East, can you get me and Brian tickets for Orlando? It looks like Brian said, Robert, you should chime in and see if you can get Risley to give us free tickets because we don't want to pay for them ourselves. We'll go off on Risley's work for those 4 years at IU. Don't say that I told you to do it.
I'm going to tell Robert right now, I have a national championship ring.
Oh, shit. Here we go with the ring again.
I freaking get free tickets to games.
Hey, my national championship ring is only 3 months old. So.
I'm just telling you, I got a banner hanging in there, and I don't get free tickets. So
Isaiah's got a banner hanging in there.
And he gets free tickets.
Why don't you call Isaiah, Robert, and see?
The last time I went to an IU game, I sat next to the band in the end zone with the tuba section.
That's not bad. It's better than sitting all the way up
next to Todd Jadlow. He sat next to me. That's the last time I've ever been to an IU game. It is probably the last time I'll ever go to an IU game.
Yeah. Going to games is overrated anyways.
Yeah. That's what God invented big screen TVs for.
I know. I mean, you got 70-inch TV. You're sitting 10 feet away in your comfortable chair. I could go pee and take a dump in like 20 steps tops. There's no line.
No line.
It doesn't cost me $9 for a bottle of water. It doesn't cost me $8 for nachos. I mean, what the hell?
Hey, Brian, are they selling beer now at Assembly Hall?
That's what I heard.
I heard they are, yeah.
Hey, you know what, though?
That's a dumbass move.
That's what we could do. It would have been a real dumbass move when I was there.
Hey, we could do a little Hunger Games thing here with Robert and Brian because actually I could get one of you press credentials if they play in Orlando and you guys want to go.
Yeah, we can get press credentials.
Oh, that's not bad. I don't remember where Robert lives.
One of you can go. Two of you can't.
What about you, Brian? Why don't we get you press credentials? You come back and be on the show. And how close are you to Orlando?
It's about 3.5 hours.
Oh, hell, that's a peanut drive.
Yeah.
That's like going 10 miles on the 405 out here in LA.
I'm down in Fort Myers, so yeah, it's an easy drive up 75 to 4.
Yeah, so I will do this for everybody.
Are you in Vero Beach?
What?
You in Vero Beach?
Robert's in Vero Beach.
Oh, he's in Vero Beach?
Oh, I'm not even going to go what Vero Beach is famous for.
The Los Angeles Dodgers.
No. It's
spring training.
It's where men are men and sheep are scared.
I thought that was that's West Lafayette. What are you talking about?
Joseph Michael, everybody's contributing to this show, and then Joseph Michael comes up with, you got nachos at home? No, I don't have nachos at home. I don't eat carbs. All right.
I don't either.
My grade school friend who was a Kansas businessman and a chief suite owner is hoping it's IU versus Kansas in the Final Four.
I actually think too.
And Michael says, Becky and I are in Bradenton, so we can be in Orlando in 3 hours. We need to, we'll do this. If they go to Orlando, I got to put in for credentials now. If I can change the name, we could have like an Indiana basketball trivia show, and whoever wins gets to go be our reporter at NCAA tournament.
You do a remote? Is that what you're saying?
You don't even have to do remotes. Go watch the games. I'll write about them. No big deal.
Brian, just real quickly here, if we got anybody still listening, do we got anybody listening to us, Mike?
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
And I want to thank the people who have listened lately.
Yeah, I want to thank
we're
you
up
too.
to over
You guys
10,000
are loyal fans, and we really appreciate it. Brian, tell us a little bit about your website, what your mission is.
Facebook page, Steve.
Your Facebook. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I don't know about social media. Your Facebook page. I actually have a Facebook page too, I guess.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And we're friends on it, by the way, Steve, in case you forgot.
I don't know the password to get into it. That's for sure.
Oh, did you have to ask the wife?
No, he doesn't.
No, the password is like 30 years old.
He lost it for like 6 months at one point.
Yeah.
You want the story on the wood?
And Michael, feel free to come on and tell us about the red chair, the IU red chair.
Yeah,
because
hey,
these Facebook pages are important to spread.
If you're an IU fan and you want to come on and talk about the Hoosiers, that's what we're here for, and we're going to run the Indiana basketball
Brian, tell
show
us
year-round.
Tell us about Got Woodson, how you formed it, what your mission is, because I know you don't like people bad-mouthing things on your show. Well, you don't want the truth, you just want the fluff. You want the cotton candy. You know, if you can't be a little Dan Dockage on your Facebook page, then screw you. Is what I
go on Dan Dockage's
if it looks
Twitter
like shit and it smells like shit, you got to tell people it's shit.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
You just can't be an asshole while telling them about the shit.
Yeah, right. So basically, it was Ryan McConnell, who's the other administrator, and I. We were on a lot of the sites. It was just so toxic an environment in some of those other websites people will get abused. And really, I think what we were trying to do, and you want to call it rah-rah, call it rah-rah. But some people go in there and they live and breathe and die Indiana basketball. And they're fans no matter what. And they want to feel good, win or lose. And we were just trying to build a different environment, a less toxic environment. We were trying to, try to bring in group experts, even though Riz, you don't get involved. We tried to get you to be an expert. But, Mike comes on.
Teach him how to use Facebook. So
okay, we'll have to do that. But, we brought Mike in. He comes in and makes some comments after I joke about his top 10, whatever.
Well, because you make stupid comparisons. But go ahead. Sam Perkins is not one of the 20 best players in ACC history. Risley
he's a three-time He was three-time, was it ACC? Wasn't he All-American?
No.
He was a three-time All-American. Sam Perkins? Yes.
No.
Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. I know shit. Unlike you, you have to look stuff up. Go ahead.
All right.
I'll look it up.
All right.
So basically what we're trying to do is develop a positive environment where people can talk about things. If you don't know something, and you want to post something because you don't understand, it's more, we're trying to create more of a positive educational site. That's why we let everybody post on there.
So you're like CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. You want to spin your own yarn. That's what you want to do. You don't want fair balance.
What I don't want.
Fair balance. That's why I don't post shit on your website or Facebook page, because
here we go.
There's multiple reasons.
This is going to be on the webpage. This is going to be on the Facebook page.
See, you're calling it a web page now. Damn.
Yeah, well, he's got me all screwed up.
Facebook
he hasn't told me him yet either.
I don't. On your side, I don't, because you want this rah-rah crap, and sometimes it ain't rah-rah. It's bullshit. I mean, really, I've seen Mike make some real coaching blunders this year, but I think he's still learning to coach. He's
talking about Mike Woodson, by the way. My team won a national championship.
Yeah, Mike Woodson.
Yeah, right. Now, there's a difference between constructive criticism and there's somebody coming on and being a jerk and say, fire Mike Woodson.
No, never fire Mike Woodson.
There's a big difference between those two. If you got, there's a lot of armchair coaches out there. I like to call them lazy boy coaches. And, half the time they don't know what they're talking about, and they make everybody else uncomfortable. If you got a constructive criticism, I've heard you say things that I agree with. I've heard you say things I disagree with. But the bottom line is you're supporting the team.
100%.
And Woodson is developing. He's not Bobby Knight. We'll never see Bobby Knight again. Anybody should recognize that what we had is one of those once in a lifetime coaches. Every coach is different.
Yeah, that's what people can't get over, is that Knight is a once in a lifetime shot. You're never going to replace Bob Knight. You're
I
never going to
disagree with that.
Bob Knight.
I disagree. I watched North Carolina go from Dean Smith to Roy Williams.
He'll resurface in a different form, Mike.
How's North Carolina doing now, Mike?
They played the national championship game last year. So I think
I got something. One thing.
And they'll make the tournament. That
guy's
Roy Williams is not the coach anymore.
Hang on. Joe Spillman, we've never been invited on the show. I think we broadcast.
He's a Cincinnati Bearcats fan.
Well, but we broadcast the Froggy sports stuff on.
And we went on his show to talk Indiana basketball.
And we've been on his show, and we have invited him to come on with a guest who paid money to be a guest analyst.
Yes. So
and,
be quiet,
and Joe said no. And he didn't want to come on the Grueling Truth and do it. So, Joe, don't tell me to not be a dick. All right. I think the dick is lying with you right now that you won't come on to our station with a guest that paid money and bring that guest on who wanted to do a show with Mike and I. So, yeah, shut up, Steve Risley. See, there you go.
That's what intelligent people do.
You know what that means? You know what that tells me? I'm kicked off the NASCAR show this week.
You're not kicked off the NASCAR show. You're not kicked off the NASCAR show.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, there's a NASCAR show?
There's a NASCAR. It's a good one, too.
I know. It's called
it's really
Stuck in the Catch Fetch.
And it's really good.
Catch Fence with Steve Risley, Brian Pierce, and that Joe guy. What's his name? Spillman. But you can check that out on YouTube. There you go. Chuck Crabb is in. Now, this isn't who's got the biggest D group here, right? I mean, check them all out. I can tell you this. Scott Woodson is an awesome one.
It is. In all seriousness, Brian.
The Red Chair is awesome. I mean, every one of them.
I read it daily. I do go on and read your stuff daily.
When you remember the password?
Huh?
When you remember the password?
I created a new one and got back.
It took 6 minutes. It took at least 6 months for him to be able to figure it out. So.
I finally figured out there's something on my Apple computer that you can press it saves your password. So all you got to do.
Hey, look at Joseph. You remember the time I told Joe he was fat on this show and he got upset? He's admitting it now. He's too big for us guys. With 3 of us, he won't even fit on the camera, I don't think.
Ooh.
Oh. Michael, I would come on your show if you got a show.
He does. I don't think he's got a show. I'm not sure,
okay.
but he may just be talking about his Facebook page.
I love IU basketball. I do not like the NBA. I have no use for the NBA.
No, it's
I live in Los Angeles. I live and breathe IU basketball. There is an IU decal on my truck out here. I fly an IU flag over my pool, and we are very IU people. I have an IU sweatshirt on.
I can tell Michael this by Sunday night. By Sunday
I miss Bobby Knight. How's that?
How to send you that.
Well, we've got the flag out front. A place here in Fort Myers before the hurricane is called Hoosiers in Paradise, and we used to go there and watch some of the big games there. Unfortunately, it got wiped out.
Alumni Association out here in LA too. That I found. Yeah, and I've gone to a couple of their events.
Robert's the first guy. Robert's got LA and
boy, Sears and Queers.
Sears and Queers. There's a bunch of both. Trust me.
There's a bunch of Sears.
There's a bunch of horny guys and a bunch of Go to WEO, West Hollywood. Whoa.
Sounds like you've been
no,
there,
thanks.
Steve.
I went there one time.
Is that the time we couldn't do the show because you couldn't sit down?
Yes, it was.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up because this has gone off the rails. Michael, Robert, I mean, if you guys want to be on the
great
show,
website. Thank you for joining. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And Michael, whatever you want Mike and I to do to help promote the IU Red Chair, we would be happy to do that. Just as we do Brian's site. We're all about spreading the word about IU basketball. and bringing it back to the level of relevance this program deserves.
Yeah, so
And
check out
there you
the
go.
IU
Yeah.
Red Chair Facebook group. Check out God Woodson.
And
Both
check
of them are
out Froggy
great.
Sports.
Check out
which
Froggy.
we will-
And Stuck in the Catch Fence. Got the
Stuck in the
NASCAR
Catch
show.
Fence. I am on that show.
Yes, he is.
And we are very good. We are very good at
Debatable.
talking about NASCAR. Understand NASCAR is not at the level of IU basketball or NCAA.
Or midget
If
wrestling.
you're a NASCAR fan, you want to find Stuck in the Catch Fence. You can get it on the YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. And I
Stuck
don't
in the
know
Catch
what that
Fence.
means.
It's Stuck in the Catch
Somebody
Fence.
told me we're on YouTube.
Stuck in the Catch Fence. All right,
Stuck in the
guys,
Catch
we're
Fence.
going to go ahead. We're going to wrap the show up before my wife asks me, why in the hell am I
The hell?
this long talking to these two idiots? But we will be back Sunday night, approximately 20 minutes after Indiana.
Hey, we got to have Brian
Yes.
back on Sunday night.
Boys, Brian, you want to come back? We
You
got
wanna come back
Brian
Sunday night,
and
Brian?
Michael.
Well, does that mean I can't drink?
You can drink.
No, you can drink all you want.
We got
Okay.
an NFL show where one of the guys is a raging alcoholic. He drinks all through the show.
Yeah, Danny's a
I'm gonna be on in the pool deck area. I'm gonna be swimming in the pool, watching the game from the pool.
We don't care.
No,
Yeah, you don't want to see me without a shirt on.
Just do me a favor.
no, we don't.
Have at least a song on, if you would.
All right, so this is what we got. We've got the Great Convergence. Sunday night, the guy, Michael from the Red Chair group? Give me
Well,
that
just
name
get
again,
Michael
Mike.
on.
Make sure I don't screw it up. I think it's the IU Red Chair group.
Uh-huh.
Michael be on. Brian, you going to be on?
I'll be on.
We're going to invite Mike
All right.
to come on Sunday night.
All right, Michael, shoot me your phone number on Facebook so I can send you the link. I'll need your email address also, but we'll be back Sunday night to break down IU's Senior Day win over the Michigan Wolverines and to look ahead at
the tournament,
what faces
the Big
them
Ten
in the Big Ten tournament.
They're
We
at the
will
Big
do
Ten.
a complete Big Ten tournament preview next Monday night, also at 7:00. We'll have some guests there also.
Oh. You know what? I might even go to the Big Ten tournament in Chicago because that damn mayor got shit canned. And it might be safe to go back there again.
Beetlejuice.
Safe.
Top five.
It wasn't safe before she was there. It's not going to be safe
It's
now.
when she's
either.
gone. Probably
All
not.
right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Remember to check out betting.net, your best bet for finding the online sportsbook or casino that's right for you. Check out God Woodson. Check out the IU Red Chair group. Check us out Sunday night on Twitter at
And
Grueling
check
Truth.
out Stuck in the Catch Fence.
I'm going to get to that. If
Okay,
you don't,
I'm sorry.
now I'm not because you interrupted me like an ass. But, all right, check out Stuck in the Catch Fence, which I think is the first LGBTQ NASCAR show
Stop it.
that's actually out there.
Stop
But right
it.
now, we're going to wrap it up. Follow us
Are you
at
guest
Grueling
hosting,
Truth.
Steve?
He
Yeah.
he gets served on there by Joe and Ryan. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. That was just our support right there. We're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. For Brian Moore, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpasture. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.